Hey there everyone, and today I want to talk to you about boundaries. Hey there everyone, my name's Dave, aka Mindset by Dave, and I've been a mindset and mental health coach for the past 4 years, helping people get unstuck with whatever it is that holds them back up here. As well as content over here on YouTube, I also stream live every Tuesday from 10 AM till 4 PM on twitch.tv/Mindset by Dave, and every Saturday from 7 PM till 10 PM, and there's a Discord as well if you want to come along and be part of the conversation. Anywho, on with the content. So boundaries are something that exist within any relationship, and for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using the term relationship to mean all relationships, so between friends, between family, not just romantic relationships. And the thing with boundaries is they are set usually organically over time without any sort of formal agreement to what the actual boundaries are. It's not something that we sit down with a new friend in the playground with in school and say, here are the terms and conditions for being my best buddy. Do you like to sign? No, generally speaking, the boundaries get set over time, and to be fair, they usually get set in the favor of the more dominant part of the relationship. Whether this is a friend or a romantic relationship or a work relationship, the person who is more forthcoming, dominant or proactive is more than likely going to be the one that actually sets where the boundaries are. Now this can be really good if you are that person, but chances are a lot of you watching that video aren't that person. You're the person who is a little bit more reluctant, a little bit more shy, a little bit more unlikely to set the boundaries deliberately. And that's okay, because that's me too. Or at least it was me too, until I realised that this was the case. And often that basically the relationships with my friends or even past partners would always leave me being the one that is not happy with the boundaries, whereas the other person seems to have everything running in their favour. Now the thing with boundaries is a good set of boundaries work for both people, because if you are the person that the boundaries are not working for, this is going to become more and more of a problem over time. You'll probably have heard me talk about slingshots and boomerangs on this channel before, and if not, I'll link the video up top. And that is the idea of a boomerang being something that gives you comfort in the short term, but then gives you discomfort in the long term. And then a slingshot is the opposite. It gives you discomfort in the short term, but it gives you reward in the long term. When it comes to boundaries, accepting boundaries the way that they are, well, not even fully accepting, claiming to accept them whilst internally struggling with boundaries the way they are, in the short term, is a boomerang. It gives you the ability to walk away from a potentially confrontational encounter with the person you're trying to alter the boundaries with, which is nice, it's comfortable in the short term. However, over the long term, this whole resentment is going to build up around that relationship, and your interest in actually doing things, you're going to feel more and more put out. It's just not going to work. Now on the flip side of this, attempting to change the boundaries and having a conversation around these things where you deliberately and proactively try to make new boundaries is a slingshot. It's terrifying, the idea of having that conversation with someone, because there's going to be a lot of friction there, and your mind, like when we talk about anxiety, is going to go to the worst case scenarios of how that encounter will go. However, on the other side of that, we have one of 3 different possibilities. One is we kind of brush it under the carpet and the things carry on the same, in which case you're probably going to have to go back and reinforce this conversation. 2, and this is the ideal one, the boundaries get changed and you actually move forward. The person didn't necessarily realise that it wasn't suiting you, and you get to move forward. Or 3, you find out that the person's really not going to budge on those boundaries, and you think, is this someone that I want to have a relationship, work relationship, friendship with? And you get an indication that that person probably isn't someone that has your best interests at heart. But rather than making this story up in your head, which you've already done, you actually get to find out for real. And that, even though it sounds uncomfortable, is actually of benefit to you. Now, when it comes down to these conversations, what I would always suggest is knowing what the actual change in boundaries that you want to be long term is, and actually being clear on that, maybe even writing it down so you've got somewhere to refer back to, knowing what you're essentially going into the encounter trying to get. If you've got a very loose idea of what they want to be and you go, oh, I just want things to be a little bit better, or I just want things to be a little bit more fair, be deliberate and actually specific about what better and more fair actually means. So you can say, if it is in the house, for example, and the housework boundaries aren't split equally, then you go in and say, well, actually, I'd like it to be that we actually share the housework more equally, and this is how I see that to look. If it's in work and it's about staying late, then you go in and say, I am not happy to stay late as much as I am. Here is how much I'm prepared to stay late. And that is knowing that to yourself and being firm in that thing that you're actually going in there for. Because the reason for being clear on this is because what we said earlier, that usually the person who has set the boundaries, again, not deliberately, just organically over time, is often the more dominant person in the relationship. So if you go in there with kind of a flaky idea or an unclear idea of what you want, chances are you're going to come out of there with no change. So make sure you know exactly what you want those boundaries to be like. Spend some time thinking about that before you go in, and then you will be in a stronger position to actually have that conversation, which I'm not going to lie, it's going to be uncomfortable no matter how you slice it. It may only be uncomfortable for 5 seconds. For other people, it might be uncomfortable for the entire conversation, and for others still it might be uncomfortable for the conversation and then for the period until we actually get to assess whether the new boundaries are in place or not. However, you are saving yourself from the fact that it would be, if you left the boundaries as they were, increasingly uncomfortable for the rest of your life. Now I get it, that's future you's problem, right? But future you is you. So I'm going to leave it there for the video because I don't want this to go too long. But if you do want to go a little bit deeper with this, then I've done an episode of my podcast, Master the Mind, Master Anything, about this, and you can find links to that on all platforms below. As always, I hope you found this content super useful, and if you have, once again, hit that subscribe button, maybe even turn those notifications on. These things are priceless to you, but they are priceless to me. And again, come over to twitch.tv/mindsetbydave every Saturday from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. and every Tuesday from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. All of those are UK times. And once more, there's the Discord. Look, I want to take these things deeper. I want to talk to you. I want to know what you want in these videos or what you need that content on, and help you to the best of my abilities. And I can do that by you going a little bit deeper with me on one of those platforms. I will see you there.